Hello and welcome to an update video about Helium. So I have had quite a few requests about Helium HNT. It is a coin that I personally, based on the Elliott Wave analysis, I'd be rather bearish on overall. There are different ways of counting this, but we could say that we have seen 5 waves of the high here in November, and this is not a good sign. So if you take a look at the increase from October 2020 to November 21, then this is a 5-wave move up. But you can count before that A, B, and then obviously the C wave is the 5-wave move. In the end, whatever happened here, because this might not be super reliable because it's very early in the chart, especially this first bit here. But even if you say this might not be reliable here, we have seen 5 waves down since the November 21 highs. And that is not a good sign. That is not a good sign. That means higher prices can be expected if we assume that this wave 1 here has finished. We could assume that we have seen 5 waves down, minimum requirement to the downside complete. But why would you invest in a coin that potentially is in a downtrend? Because you would call it a downtrend with 5 waves moves down, or 5 waves down. There are other coins which show much more potential in my opinion. This is one just purely because of this 5-wave move down I would personally rather avoid. And yeah, to be honest, until we break above at least here, but not even that. Let's draw the fibs. Because if we say this is the wave 1 down, we are now expecting a retracement in a wave 2, right? So here, so the point here is, and I'm using the log chart, we can also double check the arithmetic chart after that, but you come to a similar conclusion, I think. As long as we stay below the 78.6% fib level, which is basically, I would say that the maximum for a reliable wave 2, as long as we stay below this level, I think HNT remains in a death spiral. So what could happen now? We could now see a move up in a wave 2, ideally into the region between the 50% level and the 78.6, between $13.76 and $31.67. So this would then be a wave 2. Obviously it depends a little bit on how that structure now evolves, but based on that 5-wave move down that we've seen, we would now expect a correction to the upside, a corrective move A, B, and C in a wave 2. And that would ideally get at least to the 50% fib level, and ideally not higher than the 78.6. If we go above the 78.6% fib level, and if we see 5 waves to the upside, then this is a good signal that something more bullish is going on and that this coin is escaping out of its death spiral. But again, as long as we stay below this key level, which is the 78.6% fib level, because above that, a wave 2 is just not reliable anymore. As long as we stay below that level, this is for me a coin that is just rather focused to the downside. Now, we could also have a few more helpers here to determine when this downtrend is ending. But again, this would not necessarily be bullish. It would just mean that this imminent downtrend is over. So we can draw a trend line here. And again, there's different ways of drawing this, but if you can draw a trend line here by connecting the high to the wave 2, and here you have another touch point. This one you're missing, but maybe in the next move up here, we're only getting to that level. Could obviously be, so you've got a trend line that you can use. But yeah, based on the log chart, I would be rather focused on the downside. You can even see here the volume. A lot of people are not interested here at the moment. The volume is very low. basically as low as pre-August 21 volume. Not good. Okay, so let's take a look at the alternative, which is here the arithmetic chart. On the arithmetic chart, you can come to the same conclusion, but on the arithmetic chart, I've also highlighted here a potentially bullish count, which we can have as well. Yeah, there is of course a bullish possibility as well. But again, if we look at the Fibonacci retracement levels, it would need to get above that 3167 level to consider something more bullish. Just due to the structure, it's just not very reliable. In addition to that, you need to understand this is a very, very young chart. It is basically, you could say, its first bear market. It's not too young, but it is still fairly young. So any data here is also to be taken sort of with a pinch of salt. Yeah. In theory, you could say that this here was also a wave 1 to the upside, and this here is a wave 2 to the downside. But then also, this would be sort of the bullish interpretation. And then you would have basically an A, B, C. Yeah. And in the C wave, you could say you've done a wave 1, a 2, here 3, 4, and possibly 5. So you could say possibly you've bottomed out here. But then the problem that you have here is that the coin dropped below that last fib level, the 88.7% fib level at 674. What does that mean? That is not good for the charts. If we use the fibs on the arithmetic chart, also here a not very bullish sign. What could happen, and that would be a disaster for this coin, if we now move up to 674, which is the 88.7% fib level, and we touch it and we cannot recover. Yeah, but we just retest it and then drop down. That would be a very, very bearish sign and would confirm sort of the death spiral. Here on this chart, sorry, one sec, 674 here. Yeah, okay, on the log chart, you have here a key level at the 23.6% fib level at 637. Yeah, very similar price level. So yeah, this is one to keep an eye on. I mean, to consider something more bullish, even though it's not very reliable, but to consider something more bullish, you would want at least a move above the 88.7% fib level. That break above that level could take you short term to the 78.6 here on the arithmetic chart. That's 1278. But yeah, there's a long way to go. And the problem is because this coin has dropped below the 88.7% fib level. Dangerous, very risky. Yeah, very risky. Yeah, it could have bottomed out here. I'm saying this could have bottomed out, but then without evidence, it is very, very unclear. So what we would want to see now as a minimum is a 5-wave move to the upside. Let me go to the daily chart. There is no signal at the moment. I mean, this could become something, but it's at the moment only 3 waves, which is corrective. So what we would want to see here as a minimum to be more confident is 5 waves. So this could be a 1, 2. This would need to be a 3, then a 4, and a 5. It's already losing steam, got rejected. Let's go to the 4-hour chart. Yeah, this is only at the moment 3 waves. So of course we could get a 5th wave. 1, 2. Yeah. Yeah, this could be a 3, but 3 is very short. You already have an overlap here. So you'd need to push higher. That wave 3 would at least, to get more confidence that this is something bullish that's currently happening here. This wave 3 would need to move at least to 699, which is the 1-to-1 ratio, but ideally to the 1.618, which is 849. So this is where we would at least need to get to consider something more bullish, and then we would want to see a wave 4 and a 5. That would be a really good signal that we're breaking out here. And then in that scenario, it's not even too important how high it's going, because if you see an impulse up, that's always a good sign. And then we want to wait for that ABC pattern down, a correction, and then this would be a wave 1 to the upside and a wave 2 down. That would ideally be followed by a larger wave 3. And before we enter that larger wave 3, that would be a possible entry signal, but it's high risk here due to the fact, as I told you, drop below the 88.7% fib level on the log chart. We've got the 5 waves down. And indeed, we could have a local low in here, which is great. But I gave you the key resistance levels, and then also, yeah, another level to watch out for, a key level, is here the 1281 level. I mean, if we get above the 88.7, as I said, then we'll probably get to this level. And the breakout above this level could lead to a larger rally. Very important. Yeah. So if we go to the 8-hour chart, let's also take a look at where we are with regards to the moving averages. So let's just add the EMA ribbon here to the chart. EMA ribbon, and then the volumes as well. Yeah, visible range. Let's add that as well, just to see where we have here some key resistances. So we can just have here 150 and then 200. So here you can see there is a lot of resistance up there. So what you could argue is that if we break above the 1281 level, then there's a really good chance that would be a larger rally that follows afterwards. And that could take us actually to the next major. So there's a bit of a resistance cluster here around $16.50. But then really let's say a very massive cluster, that's probably the biggest area of resistance here, is starting at $20. Okay, so this is huge area of resistance. To the downside, there is not much, which is why I'm so a little bit bearish here, quite bearish actually on this coin, because there is not on other, some other charts you have a massive cluster of support somewhere down here. Here you don't have it. Okay, so it's a bit of a warning. So yeah, now we understand the key levels of resistance already here. Yeah, in the more local area around the 850 level, there's a lot of resistance as well. So keep an eye on that level. And now important is the EMA ribbon. Probably on the daily chart, very relevant. Yeah, so you can see we are currently below the EMA ribbon. So all these EMAs, we are below those. That means this is a massive area of resistance we currently have. A move above that would already be considered at least short-term bullish. And that would go very much in line with a break above the 88.7% fib level at 674. As you can see here, we have the EMA ribbon exactly here at this level. And if we break above 674, yeah, I mean, the last EMA, you're breaking above $7.05 basically. So it would be a good signal, and then we could reach the target of the wave 3. So that would be important to get more confidence. Here we are now only, yeah, we're just breaking into resistance basically based on this, yeah. And then we are only, okay, not only, but 21% away from the key resistance here, the 88.7% fib level, where we had support here, here, and here was a bit of an area of trade. So it is expected to provide some resistance going forward, that area, yeah. And it would be crucial to get above it. Again, a retest from that area would be considered very bearish. Looking at HNT, I mean, assuming it could have bottomed and something more bullish is evolving here, even though I'm skeptical based on the log chart and the drop below the 88.7% fib level. But let's assume, let's just assume it has bottomed out, the bear market low is in. Where could we get to in the new all-time high? That coin could take us to $100 minimum, the 1.618 extension. But take this with a pinch of salt. That's a bit of a moon chart here. This is the key target in the next all-time high as a minimum. Could probably go all the way up to the 200%, which is $122. But sometimes, or oftentimes, I've seen it happen many times, that these kind of projections don't work out in crypto, just purely because, not because the Elliott Waves don't work, but because the cryptos, some are just dying. Yeah, and if they drop too much, if they drop below the 88.7% fib level, then a lot of coins are just dying. They don't have to, they can recover, but as long as a coin stays below that level, and the longer they stay below that level, the more it has a negative impact on the sentiment around that coin, and then it's time to be careful. Yeah, and that's my update about HNT. So I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye.